I'm working on 2005 Armada Pathfinder 5.6. I'm going to change the thermostat. We are going to remove these 3 bolts. And also I want to work on removing the temperature sensor too. So the temperature sensor is right there underneath the intake. So we're going to remove this hose because we are going to remove the throttle body. And also we want to remove the connector for the temperature sensor. And it's really hard to disconnect, and sometimes we need to remove the fuel hose that is over there. So we're gonna remove this clip to make some room to remove the plug, and we're going to disconnect this plug too. Yeah, so just take your time, guys, and try not to break anything. Just push it. Yeah, just push that one, push it down, and gonna go up. Alright. So now we have some more room to remove the plug from the temperature sensor. But for now, I'm gonna try to remove the throttle body to get more room. So we're going to use a 5mm to remove the throttle body. And I just make sure it's all the way in. And we remove the 4 bolts. If you don't put all the way in, you could damage the bolt. So make sure it's all the way in. Okay. Just take your time, guys. Remember that we're going to replace the temperature sensor, but just take your time. So just remove it like slow. We're going to disconnect the plug, and so sometimes you need to use a flat screwdriver to remove the clip. In this case I use this this tool right here to remove the clip, the plug. And sometimes it's really hard to do it, but just do it carefully, okay? Really carefully. So just stick it there and try to lift the little flap. Just keep trying. Good. We get it out. Okay. So you just put on the side, and right there is the temperature sensor. We're gonna try to disconnect the sensor, and we're going to remove the cable too, the wire, and you have to remove one side of the fuel line. So, but I want to do it later. As you can see, it's right there. So we need to remove that sensor. Okay. Again, take your time, guys. Don't try to do it fast. Just do it really. Just take your time to do this job. So I use these two tools to remove the plug, okay, from the temperature sensor. So it's really hard to remove it, but we have to do it anyways. Okay, so now we're going to remove those bolts from the thermostat housing. We're going to use a number 12 millimeter socket. And just remember to put the container down underneath the car to catch all the freeze, all the coolant or water. So we're going to remove those 3 bolts to remove the thermostat. Okay. Okay, so let's start to remove the bolts. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to remove the housing. Just take your time, move it slowly, and there you go. There's our thermostat. Just put it on the side, and we're going to use pliers to remove the thermostat, because with the fingers it's really hard to do it, but we're going to use these pliers to remove it. Okay, so if you see the little like metal there, we're going to put the same position the other one. So I think it's the bleeder, so just put the thermostat in the same position that you remove it, and hold the hose, and will drain all the coolant from the radiator. Okay, we're using the pliers. We work that a little bit. You can use another type of pliers, but so we remove the gasket. Okay, so there's the gasket, and here's our thermostat. As you can see, it's damaged, so it was open all the time. And this is the new thermostat with the new gasket. Always use a new gasket, and we need to clean the area too, so make sure you clean the area really good for the gasket, and remove all the dirt that is in that thermostat gasket. So we're going to use a small flat driver to clean the area, or you can use a blade or a razor or a okay, so you can use a small driver, and also you can use a part cleaner or a brake cleaner or a sandpaper, but just make sure it's clean. And please put something in the hose, that because it's moving a lot. And so now we're gonna install the new thermostat. Make sure it's in good position, and we'll install it in the same position that removed the old one. Okay, so as you can see, the little piece of metal is there, or like the bleeder is there. So, and we're not okay, so now we're going to put the hose back. Remember to put the bolts in order, because if you don't do it, you can break the thermostat housing. So just make sure when you tighten the bolts, make the tie even. So because that happens to me before, that I just tie one side, the other side is like really hard to put in place, and I break. I broke a lot of the. It's like two times that happened to me. So you make sure it's when you close in or when you tie the bolts, make sure it's even to prevent that you break the thermostat housing. So we're gonna torque between 14 and 16 foot-pounds. Just want to make sure you got a torque wrench, a torque wrench. We're gonna torque 14 to 16 foot-pounds. Don't torque more than 16 foot-pounds because those bolts are number 12 and you can break one bolt. I highly recommend that you always use a torque wrench, so to prevent to break the bolts. Okay. So now the thermostat is ready. We clean the area and now we're going to replace the temperature sensor. And as I say earlier, we're going to remove the connector for the temperature sensor, but also we're going to remove one line, or the line, one side of the fuel line, to to have more room to remove the temperature sensor. So in this step, please just take your time because we're working with fuel. If we're working with fuel, try to do not smoke or use any fire close to you. So in this case, we're gonna use a number 19 socket to remove 19 millimeter socket to remove the sensor. So I tried to remove the sensor without removing the fuel line. I can it was easy to remove it, but it was really hard to put it back. So that's why I told you guys we need to remove one of the fuel line, one side. So, but again, remember that we're going to work with the fuel, and please do not use any fire near the truck. Okay, so try to remove the the temperature sensor. Okay, just take your time. As you can see, we got the temperature sensor there. I replaced it because I got an engine code, and an engine code for the thermostat and a temperature sensor. Okay. All right. So now try to put the temperature sensor back, and okay, just using my fingers. Please remember to put it back using only your hands, and do not use another socket to put it back, or an impact gun or electric gun, because those are really easy to break. If you break the temperature sensor, is gonna be a really pain on the butt to remove the little piece of the temperature sensor. But please use your hands, your fingers, to tight the sensors first. Okay, so now I'm going to remove that side from the fuel line. So I'm going to use a number 10 millimeter to remove those 2 bolts. I mean, it's easier to remove the fuel line before you remove the temperature sensor, but I thought that without removing, I was thinking if it was gonna be easy to replace the sensor, but in the end I have to remove the fuel line. So be careful when you remove the line. Remove the fuel pressure from the tank, or use a racket or a piece of towel to clean the fuel. So as you can see, we got more room to remove to tight the temperature sensor. We're gonna use a 19 millimeter. So as you can see, I'm working on that sensor. Just take your time, guys, and when you put back the fuel line, make sure you put a little bit of just a small, like a little bit of grease on the gasket. Okay. Okay, so use 19 deep. Okay, just not too hard. Okay, it's like a 25 newtons. It's like, I don't know, 25 is like 8 or 12 foot-pounds. I'm not sure, but well. So now it's in place. We put a plug back on the sensor. Now we're going to reconnect the fuel line. Make sure you put it back really slow, because sometimes the O-ring is damaged and it's going to start leaking some fuel. So put it like really slow, like smooth. So we're using again a number 10 millimeter, the two 10 millimeter bolts. Okay. So we're going to torque those bolts at 8 foot-pounds. No more 8 foot-pounds, okay? So now we're going to reinstall the throttle body using the 12 bolts, 12 millimeter bolts, 4. So we're going to torque at 14 to 16 foot-pounds. Okay, so we put it back. We're going to put everything back together. Okay, so we're gonna put everything back together, and just make sure you reconnect everything. And we're gonna put the inlet hose and connect everything back. And so don't forget to reconnect the throttle body. It's something very important. Okay. Okay, now so we're gonna bleed the system. When you put everything back together, you're gonna put the system and you're gonna see some bubbles coming out. And when the bubbles stop and the fan start working, so you're good to go. All right. So thank you guys for watching my video, and I'll see you next time.